Hello, world. So, I have decided to do a game jam entirely on stream. I know this is not the normal topic of the channel, but doing it anyway. Uh, decided I want a small bite-sized software project to crank through, and why not share the process? So, still getting a few things set up here. I've got a timer on the overlay. I'm gonna try to make like an arcade style game start to finish in 40 hours. I'm gonna be tweaking with the overlay and things a little bit since I just threw all this together, but yeah, join, hang out. Hopefully this will be fun. I'm gonna make sure that my stream settings are showing up right on all the platforms here. I'm gonna be trying to get through. The goal is to do 40 total hours of development, probably spread over about 2 weeks, entirely live. So I'll be doing it in chunks of a few hours a piece, and yeah, hopefully this is interesting. Let me see. Yeah, okay, stream settings showed up right. Yeah, so I'm gonna run a timer the whole time that I'm working, but I'm not gonna kick it off just yet. I'm gonna make sure that I can get my overlays looking good, and then kick it off here. So welcome to the party. Let's see. Trying to figure out the best way to share the... I guess I can do the dangerous thing and just straight up screen share, or I can do this app by app. Maybe I'll do it app by app at first, and if it gets too cumbersome, I will do other stuff. But let me get... Let's see. Let's do some window capture here. I'm just gonna do window captures of all of my frequently used dev programs here. Oh. My text editor. Let's see. Display capture, game capture. Why is my text editor not showing up as an option on the window capture? Riddle me that. Let's remove... No. What is the best way to do this? I'm just going to straight up display capture. Like a madman. What could go wrong? What could go wrong? See, got my chat over here. How should I do this overlay? Nice. All right, stream timer's working. Pause, stop, start. Cake. All right. Am I ready to make a game? This initial session is going to be a little short because I'm starting this close to lunchtime. So I'll have a pause coming up soon and then I'll come back. Try to get a few hours in on this today. Yeah, I'll end up messing with the overlay a lot while I'm working, but let's just jump in and do it. Not sure where my chat overlay should live, but we'll figure it out. Anyway, let's do it. Sorry, just got a ridiculous text message. All right. So, basically doing a game jam here. I have done zero prep for this, except a bit in my brain. So I have an idea for a type of game I want to make. It's been done before. This is one of those, I thought it was an original idea, and then I went Googling it, and some people have done similar things, but these things are all about the execution, and it seems like it'll be fun to make. So my idea for the game is that this is going to be like a top-down kind of roguey shooter game where you are building a spaceship out of blocks or chunks, and so you're kind of building a little modular character that you're controlling and then blasting stuff. It's gonna have it's kind of like super duper complicated asteroids. It's gonna be like you're controlling a little spaceship that's shooting things in different directions, and you're kind of customizing your ship, putting guns on it, putting thrusters on it, things like that. Again, not completely original idea, but it seems like it'll be a fun thing to tinker with because you can just make all types of different parts and really get a lot of gameplay out of a small amount of pieces, because you can just generate obstacles and enemies and different types of pieces. So let's do it. This is going to be a thrill a minute while I'm sort of setting up things in the project, but I'm just going to kind of get some folders prepped. Oops. Just kind of get the layout that I like to work with here. And I am working with Unity. For better or worse. It's the tools I'm comfortable with. Mic is quiet. Okay, cool. Thank you. Let me adjust. Is this up or down? That was up. That's probably too loud now. Try that. Is that better? Oh, and I should start the Clock of Doom. All right, let's do it. Scripts, textures. Good before, like, when I had it cranked super high. Oh, okay. That was, like, almost maxed. Should be good now. Just let me know how that is. All right. We need a character. So the idea is, I don't know if this is a spaceship or a robot or whatever. I'm thinking maybe it's a spaceship. Maybe we're building a spaceship out of blocks. I prototyped a game like this years ago, a bit, and it's an idea that I wished I had followed up on and always kind of think of, like, Clock of Doom. Okay. It's good enough for me for now. I'm going to call this thing a ship. But anyway, this is a game idea that I kind of prototyped or tinkered with a few years ago. And I always think back about it enough that I'm like, I should have done that project. So I'm going to do this project. And I'm going to do it with no art. It's going to be all doodles. It's going to be my art. And I have no art skills, so it's going to be lots of geometric shapes and doodles and things. I'll be doing the texture editing while I'm working on it. So, cool, thank you. Now I see the size of my chat overlay. So I'm going to adjust that a little bit. And this can go farther up. Let's do that. Actually, let's just, hang on. I'm not counting this towards the Doom clock. Screw that. Robbing my precious minutes while I'm messing with my stream overlay. How's this? A little better? Not quite sure the best way to arrange things here, but alright, I'm unpausing the Clock of Doom. The timer app says, do not minimize this window in big red text, and I have no idea why, because I just minimized it and it's still working fine. I don't know things. Alright, let's make a super basic character controller. I guess this should be a physics-based thing where your character has some momentum to their turning and their some momentum to their turning, so it's not just like when you're turning. It should be like, it should like have some drift, so when you start to turn back the other way it pushes a little bit. So I'm going to start by putting a physics object on here. Alright, cool. I mean, some of it's covered up with the chat, but that's okay. I want it to be big enough that it doesn't feel like it's all encroaching. I could actually, here, let's do this. Let's put the Doom clock down here, and then we can make things a little bigger. Cool. 5 precious minutes down the drain. I'm working with a handicap here. All right. Let's do it. Anyway, things are a little bigger now. So yeah, let's just get some controls on this. Let's get push the buttons, move your dude around. Let's do let's say every frame we're going to apply movement forces. Make a method for this. And oh, vector 2. We're moving in 2D. This is a top-down 2D game. This is Asteroids. I think it's called horizontal with like a capital H. All right, and then let's apply this to the rigid body. So now if you're using the arrow keys or WASD, it'll move it up or down. And the amount that it should move it by should be scaled with how much time has passed since the previous frame. Oh, I think this is going to fall off the Earth. Yep, gravity. There's no gravity in space. That's a lie. Oh. Ship controller, give it a reference. How about now? I see something moving. Oh, look at that. Look at that. It's moving up because I'm pushing the up arrow. Move sideways? Yep. Okay, cool. It's moving. It's moving way too slowly. So we need the ability to tune the forces. Let's just call it lateral force. Too many words. So this is the up, down, left, right forces applying to it. All right, let's try. Now we can just set a number that's like 10 times stronger than it was before. Well, that is better, but it's still not enough. All right, there we go. I think this is still a little too much, probably. So let's go to lateral normal force. Let's double this again. Now here's a question. If we're like a ship floating around in space, there obviously should be no drag, but do we want some drag in space? Because for gameplay purposes, maybe we don't want to fly off into oblivion forever. Here's another thing. Let's give us a background so we can tell what we're moving against. We just need like a solid background. Stars. Yeah, that's right. I use GIMP. What of it? Oh, that's convenient. I just want like a really crappy star field. This is too chunky. Better yet, here. Who needs stars? Let's just do like a swirly nebula kind of deal. Look at how beautiful this is going to be. Nebula. Modular shooter, assets, textures. Let's create a big background image. Just so that we have like a frame of reference for our movement. Make it like 10 by 10. And 5 by 5. Tiled. Sprite is not generated with full rect or sprite mode. It is set to polygon mode. Multiple. Polygon. Okay. Tiled. Nah, it's fine. I'm just gonna do simple mode. Okay. Anyway, got some context now. And we need this to draw in the background. which we can just do a Z layer for now. And look at that, we're moving around. So let me, now I think we need the camera to follow us when we move around. So let's make a little camera controller. Oops. What am I doing? Let's make a little script to control our camera. Creatively named. Transform. And then we'll call it player transform. So we have a choice now between whether this is going to kind of gradually follow the player, or if it's going to just stick to them. So is the player, if the player accelerates or goes off in another direction, is it always perfectly centered? Or does it kind of float behind a little bit? We're going to start with perfectly centered because it's simpler. And it might feel better anyway. And then, oh, hello. One sec. Basic premise I'm going for, sorry. The chat on my stream thing wasn't showing up. I see it on the overlay now, so I missed your chat earlier. Tosmorn, sorry. Still getting this set up a little bit. Anyway, basic premise. Like a top-down arcade game, kind of like Asteroids, where you're controlling a ship, but you're building the ship yourself out of modular pieces. This has been done before. If you search for modular ship game, there is a game on Steam that's very similar to this. I thought it was an original idea. Somebody's done it. Figures. But it seems like a cool sandbox to play around with and a type of game that would be cool to build. And I made a prototype similar to this a few years ago, so that's the basic premise. It's kind of like Asteroids, but you're customizing your ship while you're working or while you're playing. Attaching thrusters to it, attaching guns to it, that type of thing. There's a lot of leeway in there to play around with, a lot of different designs and mechanics and stuff, so I'm going to get the basic framework put together and then see what it turns into. I'm just going to try stuff and see what's fun. But as far as the kind of the plot and the style and the details, I'm going to kind of evolve it as I go. Start by playing with stuff, and if I try out a mechanic and it's super cool, could just shift in that direction. This is just going to be kind of a freeform game sandbox. Yeah. It's the type of game that you can totally just like throw 100 things at the wall and keep the 10 that come out the most fun or whatever. You could do homing missiles, you could do shields, you could do like all kinds of shipbuilding requirements with like power sources, or do different things with thrusters. You can design all kinds of enemies. There's just a million directions you can take it, and everything is going to be full of kind of fun prototyping. So that's the goal. But it'll take a little bit of time just to get like character controller set up and camera controls and some of the like core physics pieces. And it should get more interesting as we go. So for now, let's just have a camera that sticks to the player. the z-axis. The z-axis is depth here because it's x, y. So if we want the camera to be this way, looking in at the player, I think we want it at -1. Let's see if this does what we want. Point this at the ship. No. This is at z equals 1. That's not what we want. Oh, minus -1. Stay in school, kids. Math is hard. All right, and look at that. The camera follows our player, so the player is always centered in the screen. Again, later on, what we can do is kind of an interpolating camera where when the player accelerates in a direction, the camera kind of lags behind a little bit, just subtly, so that you can kind of see the acceleration in a direction, but this is like the super easy starter version of it. It just clings right on there. So, so this is, so right now left and right move the ship left and right. If we want to do this more asteroid style, then left and right should rotate the player instead. And it should go in the direction that it's pointing. I think another thing we need is to be able to tell which way the player's facing. So I'm going to add just like, oh, there's primitive triangles in Unity now? Beautiful. What do those look like? Look at that. Wait, the player could be a triangle. Oh, beautiful. This didn't used to be a thing. Sprite renderer, square. Can I just change this? Is this like a default? Yes, it is. Beautiful. I don't need to add a triangle. I can just be a triangle. Yep, current task camera shenanigans. I should actually put a current task on the overlay. It's a good idea. Brilliant that you thought of it. I'm going to have that in a little bit, but I'm not going to pause to do it just now. Then people just randomly jumping in know what's going on a little bit. Actually, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do it now. It's a good idea. Let's do this. Topic. Where do I put you? Boop, boop. All right. Here we go, background. That's what I need. Oh, this is the way to do this. I just need background color so that this will show up on top of, there we go. Boop. Okay, that's pretty good. It's oogly, but we'll fix it. Nice. Yeah, Streamlabs isn't showing me the YouTube chat. I'm only seeing it when I glance over at the overlay. I need a separate way to open it up. I'll have to figure that out. I look down at my phone and there's family drama blowing up. My solution is I'm not going to look down at my phone. All right. That'll fix it, right? All right, cool. So now I think we need that asteroid style movement. So let's get left and right instead of just panning us left and right. Let's have it rotate the character. That's what we'll do next. So ship controller. Let me see. So we need to know which way we're facing. So let's do this all differently. Oh, my bad. Wait. Yeah. So instead of applying a force in a direction, we're going to apply torque. I believe is the term for it, yeah. Add torque. Let's just start by... Okay, it takes in just a float. Yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking it would take an vector for some reason, but that doesn't make sense. Yeah, so torque is just how much twist force. So I think a positive number will twist it this way and a negative number will twist it that way. So we're just going to get the horizontal axis, which the horizontal axis force is just your left and right arrow keys. It's how pressed they are. And if you hold them down longer, it presses harder. And if you switch, then it decays back to 0. So we're just grabbing the left or right arrow key, or the A or D key, do the same thing. And then getting that number from like -1 to +1 and turning it into a twisting force one way or the other and applying it to the ship. So I think that looks pretty good, except it's going the opposite direction of what I intended, because when I go left, it goes that way. When I go right, it goes that way. So I guess positive torque is counterclockwise. Okay, math. Right hand rule something or other. All right. So I gotta flip it. And this thing spins real fast, so we need to put like a cap on the... I don't think we want the player to be able to like do that, right? Especially not when we have to like push back in the other direction. I feel like we just want to cap it to a maximum rotation speed of like around this. So what's the best way to cap the rotation speed? Because there's no world where you want the player to be like pinwheeling to infinity. How many RPMs we got going? Oh, if you go fast enough, it starts to look like it's stationary because every frame it's okay. It's doing the taking a video of a propeller illusion. What's up, Volton? Welcome to the party. I decided I should do this thing, so I'm gonna do it a lot. Where's my... Oh. I was looking at my... Yeah, my mic was like right in the freaking way. Hey, yo. Alright. I'm applying years of game development experience to make asteroids. This is what it's all been working its way up to. It's tipping a triangle real fast. Okay. So I need to cap the rotation speeds. Do I just do that? Do I just say if greater than... Well, here. Angular velocity, which is a float. Okay, cool. So I think okay. Let's do this. Since I'm probably going to want other speed limits as well. Potentially. Probably. Yeah. We can't just let them go infinitely fast or they're going to clip through stuff and... Angular velocity equals... Clamp the angular velocity. Whoopsie. Like that, right? All right. So we'll set the max angular velocity to like, this is probably degrees or radians per second. I don't know what it uses. Let's set this to 90. We'll just test. We'll figure out by inference. Okay. Yeah, that worked. And it is using degrees because that looks like about 4 rotations per second, right? Or 1 rotation every 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hey, we've invented a watch. Cool. I guess we'll do it at like... Do it at like 360. So 1 rotation per second can be our max speed for now. Boom. Now, I've gotten rid of my actual movement code here. So now I need to set this up so that when you push forward, it goes in the forward direction of the facing of the thing, which should be its, let me see. That's its y direction. So this is its vector up. Let's actually separate these. Because I like to just have things very encapsulated here. So this is apply rotation forces. I don't know if it really matters which of these happens first. I'll just do rotation first and then movement second. I drank way too much coffee. I'm gonna need a bathroom break here in a minute. Apply movement forces. Oh, whoops. I just obliterated the code I was about to use. Okay. All right. So we want float, movement force, caps lock, thank you. Nope, vertical axis. So the up and down keys are going to become the movement force. Nothing horizontally, and vertically we'll do this. Never mind. I'm doing this wrong. Movement force equals that. All right. Let's do it like this. All right, so now we have a number that's scaled to time, which is just your vertical movement, and then we're going to add this in the direction of, in the up direction. I think up is going to use the y-axis. Like the local y-axis times movement force. I think this does what we want. Let's see. Should be able to fly in the direction that you're facing now. So far, so good. Yeah, look at that. Oh dear. Oh, this spin is way too fast. Okay. Now I'm seeing that I need to cap the rotation a bit more. Let's cut the rotation cap in half because it is very easy to spin too much. I feel like even though, like, I might want to do drag even though this is in space. Because having it just spin forever when you take your hands off it, like, that's realistic, and that's how it does it in asteroids, I think, but I don't know. Do I want some drag? Probably want some drag. Yeah, I'm gonna take a bathroom pause real quick. Be right back. Yeah, space rules are whatever we want them to be. How many movies have noisy explosions in space? I'm allowed to have drag. I declare it. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. So, where were we? This game's basically done, right? I think we definitely need the ability to tell which way the player's facing. That is going to be a necessity here. Why is it so complicated? All right. Stop. There we go. These giant folders for these default assets. Oh, you know what? Realistic mode, yeah. Just let them play the game super floaty where they just careen off forever. I mean, it's really almost a genre choice because it's like you can, if we want this to be like a shooter game where you're quickly reacting to things and trying to manage a lot of things, then it's like you want to have drag and very deliberate kind of controls. If you want it to be kind of more of a lunar lander kind of thing where like gravity is your enemy and you're kind of trying to control something that's unwieldy, then that becomes kind of the point. Whoops. Boop. They changed it so that sprites are set to sprite, or textures are set to sprite by default when you import them into Unity. It's a beautiful thing. All right, well, now we have a nose. Pew, 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 pew. I think we need like a little thruster animation so that when you're going, it shows it. Oh, also, it's now occurring to me that, okay, a couple of things here. Number one, it occurs to me that in Asteroids, you can't thrust backwards like this, which is probably a good thing. So let's do that. Because right now I just have it applying the negative, and we probably don't want to keep that. The other thing is I want a little thruster thing so that we can see when we're thrusting. Shuttlecock button. It does kind of look like that, doesn't it? Look at this ProTech right here. Could even... Okay, no. Don't want to get too fancy with it. I'm just going to turn this on when the thrust is positive. Space Badminton should have been what I set out to do, but unfortunately I can't because it isn't. A little bit of transparency on there. Man, look at these next gen graphics. All right. Everything must have a method. This is how we do business. Let's see. Is this used anymore? Okay. Thrusters are on if our vertical axis is getting a button press. something methods about something methods madness is what I was trying to say. Oh, look at that. Oh, it actually has a little delay. I let go of the key and it lingers for a sec because of the input axis delay. I don't know if I want that. I might have to do raw axis. Actually, raw. There we go. Doing raw axis even though on the back end the input is still applying the force with a little bit of lag after you let go of the key, because it kind of tapers off. So I could, so do we want backwards thrust or not? First of all, this camera's way too close. Let's do this. Look at this beautiful game. You're just trying to spam my debug log. I see you're that kind of person. It's fine. It's fine. Oh dear. How I long for some drag. Especially the rotational drag, because the whole, it's very hard to just go straight. I guess that's kind of the whole thing with asteroids, is that it's kind of hard to go straight. I feel like I want more thrust on this thruster. It feels very slow right now. Crank it. Did that even work? Am I using this right now? Okay, yes, I'm using it. A little bit more kick here. Okay. But yeah, this rotation, like, not having any rotational drag feels rough. All right. The remainder of this 40 hours will just be me flying around in this little ship. So enjoy. All right. I want some drag. At least some angular drag. It had some apparently already, but how quickly does that slow down? It's subtle, but it's noticeable. I think that's probably fine. It's so easy to just fly off into oblivion still. I think I need to cap velocity. Just a physical cap on all velocity with the player movement so that they don't get going so fast that they can't get control again or start clipping through things. Yep, fun achieved. It's time to be done. All right, so let's cap velocity. This is going to be real exciting. Apply movement forces, apply limits. Clamp magnitude, beautiful. Already built-in function for this. Let's try this out. I don't know if you're supposed to be applying these like, it's possible those things should be in late update instead of update, but oh. It is waiting until the next frame because right now the velocity is capping at 0, but we're still moving because it moves a tiny bit for one frame, and then the next frame's update, it caps. If I move, actually this is a good chance to figure out when these things are happening. Let's see if this behaves differently if we move this to late update. Is the ship going to be stuck here now? I'm trying to figure out when the physics stuff gets applied. I think now the ship might not move. Nope, it still moves. Did that get saved? Apply limits. Okay, well, it is still moving. I think you're supposed to do physics stuff in late update, but it's all right. Or is it fixed update? It's fixed update I'm thinking of. Okay, late update and update both happen after the physics step. Fixed update. Doing a quick experiment. Don't mind me. I think now it might behave a little erratically. Okay, never mind. None of this really matters. Just wasn't behaving quite like I expected it to. The diagram of the order in which all the things are called. There should be like a step where I can... I mean, either way, the forces are getting applied, but then the limits are getting applied, but then I guess the forces get added in a physics step that's separate from the... Is there a step between the physics calculation and the updating of the thing? I don't know. I don't think this really matters because I don't need to control anything in between applying the forces and when the ship updates. I was just thinking it would be stationary if I set the limits to 0, but I guess you're always waiting until the next frame because you can't like inject this I guess those forces you put in are put in like a queue, and then even if you set the velocity to 0, the forces are then going to get applied, and then it moves one frame, and then the next frame it's at 0 velocity. So it's always going to move a little bit. If you want it to actually hit the brakes and not move, you have to like not apply forces that frame. I don't think that's an issue though. There's that execution order. I'm going to shrink the chat on the overlay so that I can see a little more of it. Yeah. I guess regardless of whether, like if it happens before or after, doesn't really matter because either way it's going to apply the forces, do the physics, and then zero out if you're like setting the velocity to 0. The only way you could actually like enforce hitting the brakes would be to lock its movement that frame, like not apply forces that frame, unless there's some like step in between when forces are applied and when things positions are updated, which would be like right in the middle of the physics process. So I don't think it's a thing, which is fine. Like intuitively I was like, I'm setting the velocity to 0, so why is it still moving? But it makes sense why. Max velocity 10? 10's gonna be fast. I think this is in units per second or whatever. Set it to 1. See how fast this goes. Well, that's very slow. So maybe I do want 10. Okay, this feels better. You don't like completely lose control. I think I could afford to have this go a little bit faster too. So no drag in the linear direction, but I will cap the velocity, and on angular I am putting on drag. So that if you get spinning like this, and then you let it go, it will gradually slow down. Okay, this is feeling pretty good. Feels like maybe the steering force is a little bit much. Or maybe the max angular velocity is a little much, I'm not sure. I'm gonna set this to like 140. I'm just sort of tuning things by feel here. Okay. Cool. Yeah, this feels easier to control now. I think the max speed could go up a bit. 25. How's that for max speed for now? That like covers a screen's distance in like a second or so. I think you probably don't want to go faster than that. Yeah. Okay. This feels okay. So if you want to brake, you have to like do a hairpin turn and then accelerate back the other way. Which is fine for now. All right. Well, I have a meeting for lunch in a few minutes, so I'm going to be back on after lunch. I'm going to do like 2 more hours of this today, so going offline for a little bit, and then I will pop back. So if you're enjoying this... Oh, and I just hit the 1 hour mark. That'll work. Cool. Cool. Yeah, so my next segment of this will be twice as long as this one was. So I'll be back in about an hour, and then I'll do like 2 more hours of this. So.